Hey, what is up everyone? Today we're going to be taking a look at the iPhone 6s Plus after 5 months of usage. So as you guys can see, my iPhone is in near perfect condition except for a few scuffs here and there on the aluminum from drops on hardwood floors. Previously I had many scratches on the screen. However, recently I replaced my screen at the Apple store because of an issue with Touch ID. The camera has no issues with, like there are no dots or anything on in the camera. The buttons and the ports seem to work perfectly. The buttons especially are clicky and satisfying, and the display looks amazing. It's 1080p, so of course it should. And otherwise, there are no real major drawbacks with the build quality. It's aluminum, so yeah. Now onto the hardware. So I'm not gonna go too in depth with hardware, as you talk about hardware in a show review. Now I'm also not gonna get into software that much, as it shipped with iOS 9.2.1, and now it's on the latest version of iOS, which is iOS 9.3.1, and it's held up pretty well. But I think that the battery life, the decreasing, is the cause of the update, if not the usage of my phone. So I think Apple should patch that up if that's the problem. Otherwise, iOS 9.3 runs very smoothly on my 6s Plus. Night shift, I barely use that because I don't use my phone at night that much, and if I do, then I use it to stay awake, not go to sleep, which doesn't really make sense. But yeah, that's I think a gimmick, but that's only my opinion. Otherwise, iOS 9.3.1 runs very smoothly on the iPhone 6s Plus, as you'd expect with the specs that it shipped with. So the camera was one of the most important factors of the iPhone 6s Plus, because one, it bumped up to a 12 megapixel shooter from an 8 megapixel, and two, it could record 4K video, which was awesome for a lot of people. So as I'm going through the camera UI, you guys can see that I can touch to focus, I can touch to get the exposure down, or I can even swipe down or up or down to get the exposure up or down as much as I want. And as you can see, I can go to a video mode which shoots up to 4K. I can go to a slow-mo mode which shoots up to 240 frames per second. I can go to a time-lapse mode, which is great, but the quality is not all that good. I can go up to a square photo and get those Instagram photos that you guys know. I can go up to a panorama photo and get that panorama. So moving on, similar to the camera UI, the settings UI for the camera are very simple. So you have iCloud options and you have video recording options, and like you can choose between whatever quality you want, and whatever frames per second you want. The main one here is 4K at 30 frames per second, and another one is recording in slow-mo. So you can either record in two different modes. Now with pricing and availability, the iPhone comes in, the base model is 16 gigs, which is like really Apple. I mean, I think we're over that, but really Apple. And then there's a 64 gig, and then there's one more after that, which is 128 gig, which is just absurd in my opinion. I mean, if you travel a lot, if you take a lot of photos, if you take a lot of 4K videos, then I mean, it makes sense. But for the average user, I don't think that 128 gigs will suffice. When taking into consideration the price as well, which is over $1,000. It's an iPhone. It's a phone. It's a thing that you make calls with. I don't think you want to spend over $1,000 on a phone where you make calls. So, yeah, just keep that in mind when you might take an iPhone into consideration when buying a new phone or something like that. Just take that into take that in note, like a mental note or something. $1,000 for a phone. I'm done. So in conclusion, the iPhone 6s Plus has been very reliable in terms of usage and like everyday stuff, tasks. Obviously making a phone call is helpful. Playing games, opening apps, keeping the apps open after a long period of time. Everything has been useful. Hardware has given me like really good feedback, I guess, except for the display and the 3D or the Touch ID, which could have an improvement, but whatever. It's not usual. The software is very reliable. iOS is always very stable and reliable. Almost never gets into like a boot loop or whatever, unless you jailbreak or something like that. Otherwise, the camera, always reliable. I mean, it's one of the best cameras out there on a smartphone, because it takes great shots in daylight, amazing shots in low light, considering that it does not have any low light capabilities. It's an f2.2, which I don't know how that works in low light, but yeah, that's amazing. And otherwise, the features, 3D touch comes in handy sometimes. In Safari it comes in the most handy, and when you're checking your mails and everything, you just 3D touch and yeah. So after 5 months of usage, this phone has really impressed me with battery life, software, hardware, and the overall performance of the phone, as well as the camera. And I will see you guys in the next one. Also, if you want to, leave a like below this video, and leave a comment below as to what you want to see next and what I should do for you guys next, because I don't always want to do reviews. That seems a little bit boring to me and to you. So just leave a comment below telling me what you want to see next, and I will do it. Also leave a like below and subscribe if you want to see more, similar to this. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.